So is this the reason why they're going after Michael Jackson's money? Yeah, I still even laugh because, hey yo, when you deep it, yeah, like when you seriously deep it, like you have to be some sort of, anyway, we already get into that. No judgment, yeah. But if you're a fan of Michael Jackson, hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notification because more Michael Jackson content is on the way. Especially, the times when he was in the Jackson 5. You know what I mean? We're gonna react to that content as well. Any Jackson related content we're gonna react to, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, let's keep it moving. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, my name is Versatile, aka I could be on trust and name you can trust when it comes to all things reactions. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button, turn in your post notifications when I go live, when I post something. You know what I mean? If I am delayed by a bit, it is what it is, all right? Can you not see? I'm black. Black timing, it is what it is, but don't get it twisted. I'll try to be on time. Anyway, so the deals, Michael Jackson money. A shout out to the DL as well, because they put a comprehensive documentary type of series that I'm gonna have to start reacting to. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't this one, it's this one what we're gonna react to. The financial rise, fall, and rise again of Michael Jackson. Yeah. So let's go. And it's a full documentary in 4K. 4K. I'm gonna skip that ad there.
Michael Jackson is considered pop music's most successful and, as a result, richest.
Not considered. He is. All right. It's just a undisputed fact. He is. All right. He is.
Artists of all time.
Facts.
The incredible wealth he amassed over the years attracted countless headlines, as well as his later financial blows. However, much misinformation has been put out over the years, largely due to overzealous rumors and sensationalized tabloid fodder.
Exactly. Like, do you know when I was coming across trying to create a description for this live stream, and if you're watching the replay, is what it is. That's why you should always pay attention. But anyway, make sure you hit the subscribe button. But when I was trying to correct the description, I was getting so many misinformation, and it's like there was this doc. If I can find a clip and watch it on the stream, I will watch it on the stream. I will watch it on the stream because I'm pretty sure he became a billionaire, yeah, by the age of 29. I know I did not misheard the information. I know I didn't, because I'm like by the age of 29. Hey yo. But anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's go. And obviously, you got to remember before we keep moving, you got to remember that end of the day, the era that he started in, he was breaking down racial barriers. Do you see what I'm saying? And he was still going through certain situations. Anyway, we all get into that again, but let's keep it moving. Let's go.
How did he exactly make his considerable fortune? Was Michael Jackson pop's first billionaire? And did the king of pop end up dying completely broke? In this series of videos, we hope to, in some estimation, uncover the numbers behind Michael Jackson's complex finances, from his royalty checks to numerous business dealings, endorsement payouts, and outlandish expenses, revealing the truth behind Michael Jackson's colossal bank account. Here's the detail. When Michael and his brothers first hit the pop music scene in 1969 as the Jackson 5, they debuted with a string of #1 hits that broke records, pushing the Beatles out the charts. Within a year, the singles I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There sold over 3 million units each.
300 million units. Wait. You see, this is why if you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification, you will be notified when I react to this content, to the Jackson 5 discography, yeah? Like, do you know what I mean? And then they had the variety show as well. I'm sure he will get onto that. But 300 million units, these are physical copies. Physical copies. I don't know what the percentage is in regards to, but they may talk about it. I don't know. Let's keep moving. Let's go.
Their debut album also raked in the cash, with Diana Ross Presents The Jackson 5 selling over 500,000 copies by the end of 1970. Their newfound chart success meant that the Jackson 5 were also performing to sell-out audiences around the U.S., with their first 6-show tour grossing over $500,000, $3.8 million in today's dollars. However, the Motown-founded group had their record label take a hefty proportion of the revenue earned from record sales, leaving them with the 2.8% royalty rate as per their contract.
I hope you
don't give a toss about knitting, do you? Well, your buyers don't give.
In their first 3 years, the Jackson 5 sold an incredible 33 million singles and 8 million albums.
33 million single records and 8 million albums. Look, hey, listen, even by today's standards, that is a significant amount. Even by today's standard, that is a significant amount. I don't name another. Listen, name who could do this in this day and age. Leave your answer in the comments below and be completely honest. And bear in mind, I'm talking about physical sales. I'm not talking about streaming numbers. I'm talking about physical sales. Who in this day and age, can do this? Yeah, that's like from a new era. Yeah, that's all I'm asking. I'm asking that question. Not someone that's from the era of physical sales, but someone that is from the era of streaming era. You know what I mean? Let me know if you think they could do it. Let's go.
Giving the group an estimated cut of $1.8 million to $2.7 million, $13.2 million to $19.7 million when adjusted for inflation. In addition, the brothers toured almost continuously throughout this period, embarking on no less than 3 domestic tours as well as 1 in Europe, performing over 119 shows and grossing approximately $5.9 million, $43.1 million when adjusted for inflation, giving them a cut of between $2.9 million to $4.1 million, $21.2 million to $30 million when adjusted for inflation.
See, I like how he's adjusting it for inflation because it makes you think and wait, you know what I mean? But also, you've got to bear things in mind. You've got to understand the money value back then. You know what I mean? Let's go.
If you include merchandise and other income streams, by the end of 1972, the Jackson 5 as an entity earned them a total of $5.7 million to $8.6 million, or $41.7 million to $62.9 million today. Michael Jackson openly spoke about receiving $200,000 royalty checks in the mail as a kid, in which he would cash in, take a couple of dollars out to buy some candy, and leave the rest in the bank. However, during this period, young Michael didn't have access to any personal wealth of his own, as his earnings were managed by his father and absorbed into the Jackson family finances. When the Jacksons announced they were leaving their record label in 1975, industry commentators estimated that the group were contributing as much as a third of Motown's yearly revenue of $45 million.
A third. A third. Do you know how much of an asset you have to be able to, as a third? Hey, yo.
$255.7 million today. Instead, the family's patriarch secured a lucrative contract to have the group sign with Epic Records, a subsidiary of CBS, who agreed to give them more creative control over their musical output and offered a much higher.
No. I don't. According to them, you've seen the American Dream, the Jacksons, yeah, like the Jackson family, yeah. Have you seen that, yeah? It wasn't down to Joseph Jackson. No disrespect to him, may he rest in peace and that. But like from what I recall, is they decided to go ahead. But maybe they needed their father's help. I do not know. Who knows? It's more than likely they did get their father's help to ensure that things were done right. You know what I mean? Because yeah, man like Joe didn't mess about, bruh. He did not mess about. You mess with these boys. No, I don't want to see you do that, but you know what I'm saying? Don't mess with these boys, innit? Don't mess with his family. Get me? Like, and this is the thing. There's always that negative that's put on Joseph Jackson, but the reality is he actually helped his family get out of poverty. using their talents, helping them nurture their talents. I don't think that's talked about enough. Yeah, it's not talked about enough. He helped nurture their talents, and then after nurturing their talents, he helped manage their talents, and then helped them make money from their talent to the point where they can continuously make money from their talents with or without him. If you ask me, if you ask me, that's a very successful father. A very successful father. Helping them get out of poverty is one thing. But to be able to maintain getting out of poverty and ensuring that the next generation is not seeing poverty, that father's done more than enough. Do you understand? He doesn't get enough credit. I'm telling you, he doesn't get enough credit. Let's go.
Higher royalty rate of 20% per record.
Damn.
Although the brothers went on to sell millions as the Jacksons, Michael was never given the opportunity to acquire his own personal wealth until he developed an independent career as an adult. His first solo record with CBS, Off the Wall, was off the bat a huge success, selling over 5 million copies domestically in its first year, becoming the best-selling record of 1980 and the highest-selling album by a black artist up until that point. His solo royalty.
That's information I didn't know. I promise you, till this day, I never knew that information. I feel like I need to share this stream. You know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Give me a second, y'all. Let me do this real quick. Get me. So I'm going to rewind that for a second. Rewind.
$9 million to $4.1 million. $21.2 million to $30 million when adjusted for inflation. If you include merchandise and other income streams, by the end of 1972, the Jackson 5 as an entity earned them a total of $5.7 million to $8.6 million, or $41.7 million to $62.9 million today. Michael Jackson openly spoke about receiving $200,000 royalty checks in the mail as a kid, in which he would cash in, take a couple of dollars out to buy some candy, and leave the rest in the bank. However, during this period, young Michael didn't have access to any personal wealth of his own, as his earnings were managed by his father and absorbed into the Jackson family finances. When the Jacksons announced they were leaving their record label in 1975, industry commentators estimated that the group were contributing as much as a third of Motown's yearly revenue of $45 million, $255.7 million today. Instead, the family's patriarch secured a lucrative contract to have the group.
I need to think properly to post this. All right. I am alive right now. Right now. It is Black History Month in the UK. And who better than to learn from a black icon in Michael Jackson. Hold on. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. Hit the subscribe button. While you're here, hit the subscribe button, turn in the post notifications, leave a comment in the comments below. You know the deal. Share, as I'm about to share as well. I should have did this earlier, but I didn't have enough time to really think this one through. Okay. Then to learn from a black icon in Michael Jackson. Especially when it comes to his financial wealth. On Financial Friday. The reason I'm going to do Financial Friday is because, you know, we can talk about in fact, that's the other thing. If you're into finance, money, all that stuff there, wealth, hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notifications. I will have more content in regards to that. You know what I mean? These are the type of content I normally would have wanted to do on my channel in the first place. But it just so happens that I ended up because I like music, I end up doing content around music. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's keep it moving.
Signed with Epic Records, a subsidiary of CBS, who agreed to give them more creative control over their musical output and offered a much higher royalty rate of 20% per record. Although the brothers went on to sell millions as the Jacksons, Michael was never given the opportunity to acquire his own personal wealth until he developed an independent career as an adult.
I find that interesting. Hear me out, yeah? Because whether you're excuse me, when you're part of a family, regardless, you can still have your own personal wealth. Because I get it. He was getting allowance anyway, right? So technically, with him getting allowance, that adds to your personal wealth. Like if you get pocket money, that adds to your personal wealth. Had I known about how to handle my finances properly, although I was told, save the money, save the money, save the money. Had I known properly, you know what I mean? Had I known how to act on it properly, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'll be a billionaire by now. I don't know. But all I'm gonna say is the earlier you learn about wealth and certain information, the better off you will be financially. Do you understand? Because then you know when and how to implement it. And sometimes, yeah, you are going to make mistakes in the meantime, but that's just life, isn't it? But you live and you learn. But let's keep it moving.
His first solo record with CBS, Off the Wall, was off the bat a huge success, selling over 5 million copies domestically in its first year, becoming the best-selling record of 1980 and the highest-selling album by a black artist up until that point. His solo
just to hear that, do you know how insane that is? Because think about all the black artists during that era.
royalty rate was similarly as favorable as what was offered to poach the brothers from Motown, which meant Michael the artist was in a unique position, amassing a considerable fortune from just one record, earning $1.10 to $1.50 per album sold. By the end of 1982, Michael Jackson received a figure of approximately $9.4 to $12.8 million, or $29.8 million to $40.5 million when adjusted for inflation.
You see, earlier I said, I know I watched something where I heard Michael Jackson was a billionaire by the age of 29. Do you see how possible it could be? And we're just near the start. We're not even towards the end. Like, we're just near the start. Come on, man.
I first came across Ansarada in 2014. It was a corporate finance deal we were working on for a solar developer.
Meanwhile, his father Joseph was having financial issues after several bad business dealings and was reportedly looking to sell the family's Los Angeles home. In response to this crisis, Michael offered to purchase the house from them, gifting a 50% stake in the property to his mother. The singer then made grand plans with his newfound wealth to effectively knock down the old mid-century structure and rebuild a fairy tale chateau style. Its centerpiece became a 5-bedroom, 7-bathroom, 10,000 square foot residence. The property also included a state-of-the-art home studio and 3 small stores that resembled a candy store, a puppet shop, and an ice cream shop. Additions to the property also included a 6-foot Snow White and the 7 Dwarves diorama, a movie theater, games room, a small zoo, manicured gardens, and a koi pond. While Michael's dream home was being constructed, his attorney, John Branca, secured him the highest royalty rate ever achieved in the music industry up until that point.
Hear me out. Now, I know you just mentioned John Branca. You can't give him that high credit like that. You just can't. Hear me out. Look what he's doing right now with Michael Jackson's estate. No disrespect. Yes, we may get the movie. Yeah. And I'm saying may because it's been delayed like 2 or 3 times. All right. We know Michael Jackson's got music in the vault. We know there's also not only that, obviously, that he's a perfectionist, so it's what it is. But we know that there's anniversary of many of his albums. The previous albums that had anniversaries, John Branca and even John McClane, they did absolutely did squaddily with that. So we can't give him that credit, respectfully. You know what I mean? If Michael Jackson probably had the mindset and said, you know, this is what I want, help me execute this idea, and then boom, that's what happened. That's what I believe. Because Michael's a visionary. Let's go.
With his contract up for negotiation and with a very promising career ahead, having achieved sky-high record sales with Off the Wall, he was in prime position to secure a very lucrative deal for his next LP. With approximately $2 or $5.68 today going in his pocket for each album sold, Michael Jackson released his 1982 juggernaut Thriller.
Now wait, I'm gonna react to this album again, like this album, yeah. I've noticed something that someone else noticed, yeah. I'm not gonna say it here. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notification. When I do react to Michael Jackson's Thriller album, by all means, you'll be notified, and then you'll be able to watch there and then. Let's keep it moving. Get me. Shout out to all the moonwalkers and that. Let's go.
Over the course of 1983, Michael Jackson's bank accounts were flooded with cash as the royalty checks kept coming in. Thriller spent a record 37 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200, and at its peak was selling 1 million units a week. The record later became the best-selling album in the United States in 1983 and 1984, making it the first album to be the best-selling for 2 years, and of course was awarded the best-selling album of all time in February 1984.
And you got to remember, that's in America. Just imagine a worldwide. It's the most and the best-selling album globally. Yes, in America, but also globally. This is another reason why they hated on him and still hate on him. And the reason, one of the main reasons why, you know what I mean? They're trying to take his money still. They're still trying to take his money. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm not going to say too much. Let's just keep it moving. Let's see. Let's go.
From Thriller sales alone, by the spring of 1984, Michael Jackson had quickly amassed an incredible fortune of $50 million, or $147 million when adjusted for inflation. At this time, Michael leveraged his incredible fortune to push his career into new heights, as demonstrated when his record company refused to fund the production for his Thriller music video. Jackson paid for it himself.
I know what they're doing is they're going through a timeline, and I feel like they missed out on a few things because he forgot to mention about the solo albums that he may have received royalties from in regards to when he released that under Motown. Because remember, he had albums under Motown as a solo artist as well. Then also you got to take into consideration that Jackson had the variety show as well. So he definitely was making some money from that. How much, I do not know. But we can get into that another time, yeah? But let's keep it moving. Let's go.
And offset the additional cost of $500,000, or $1.4 million today, by having a production crew document its creation for the making of Michael Jackson's Thriller home video. During the infancy of home VCR systems, the documentary became the best-selling video cassette at the time, selling well over 50,000 copies within 6 months of its release, making the now global superstar in excess of $2 million, or $5.9 million today. 1984 would also be significant as Michael Jackson embarked on the then highest-grossing tour of all time, the Victory Tour, grossing $75 million, or $220.6 million in dollars today. Him and his brothers also secured an endorsement deal with Pepsi Cola worth $5 million, or $14.7 million today.
Wait, I'm going to take a little pause here, because it's just knowing about that deal. If this deal never happened, you know what I mean? That accident may have never ever happened. You never know, Michael Jackson still could possibly be here, because it's because of the pain medication and this that led him. You know what I mean? Like, but I say this: Michael Jackson still alive to this day in regards to everything. You see him and hear him everywhere. And even through other people, how he's inspired others. You know what I mean? I'm starting to get emotional on that. Let me keep moving on.
What is
commercial take a break.
Property? There are 5 main types. I'm going to talk to you about some of them. Retail, that is one of the main.
However, its bloated production costs, high ticket price, and dodgy payment processing tactics caused a widespread public backlash and forced Michael to give up his portion of profits from the tour in order to stem the ongoing PR crisis. Giving the charity an estimated $5 million, or $14.7 million when adjusted for inflation, Michael also gave the settlement he received from Pepsi for the burns he suffered while filming to the hospital that treated him, amounting to $1.5 million. or $4.4 million today. Although Michael's focus was more on giving his money away, the press and promotional benefits of the Victory Tour led the superstar's Thriller record to surpass sales of 40 million units by 1985, netting Michael additional royalty payments of $30 million, or $85.2 million when adjusted for inflation. Swamped with...
Listen, hear me out. Now imagine had he did a Thriller tour. A Thriller worldwide tour. Yo.
With cash, and with an estimated net worth of $100 million, or $284 million today. Michael was keen to make large-scale investments with his considerable newfound wealth, the largest being his purchase of the ATV Music Catalogue in the summer of 1985 for a whopping $47.5 million, or the equivalent of $135 million today. Jackson went moonwalker to mogul and instantly the most powerful individual in all of music publishing.
And I just want to pause this here for a moment. I want to say this in regards to that publishing that he brought. The smartest thing of him doing that was not owning. When you own publishing, you're owning other people's music. You're able to license other people's music and monetize it. You understand? And you're making money. Yeah, that amount of money you're making, and this is from ATV. Yes, it had the Beatles, but it had so many other artists as well. Do you get it? So, like, that was making money.
On top of income he already received for his own work, Michael Jackson would now take 50% of all royalty payments for when these songs were played, performed, or used for other activities like licensing for a film or television commercial. Before his purchase of the catalog, ATV was grossing approximately $15 million per annum, $44.3 million when adjusted for inflation, with half its revenue tied to Beatles music. In the years that followed, Jackson would increase profits through lucrative yet controversial licensing deals, as well as compilation album and documentary releases, upping his own personal income but also adding value to the asset he invested in. In preparation for the release of his next record and first solo tour, Michael Jackson signed a new 3-year advertising contract with Pepsi-Cola that was the largest of its kind, worth somewhere between $5 million and $15 million, or $13.9 million and $41.8 million today. In return, Jackson would appear in no less than 4 commercials which were to be shown in the United States and abroad.
Listen, this advert, who would have thought that advert has none other than Carlton Banks? Shout out to Alfonso Ribeiro, man. Listen.
And also contribute 2 pieces of original music and perform 1 song from an upcoming album. While busy recording, in 1986 and 1987, Michael Jackson reportedly earned an additional $80 million, or $215.3 million today, largely from royalty payments, despite it being almost 5 years since...
Wait. You're telling me he didn't release no music within that time he made that money? Now, we rewind that for a bit. That is incredible. Hold on.
That followed, Jackson would increase profits through lucrative yet controversial licensing deals, as well as compilation album and documentary releases, upping his own personal income but also adding value to the asset he invested in. In preparation for the release of his next record and first solo tour, Michael Jackson signed a new 3-year advertising contract with Pepsi-Cola that was the largest of its kind, worth somewhere between $5 million and $15 million, or $13.9 million and $41.8 million today. In return, Jackson would appear in no less than 4 commercials which were to be shown in the United States and abroad, and also contribute 2 pieces of original music and perform 1 song from an upcoming album. While busy recording, in 1986 and 1987, Michael Jackson reportedly earned an additional $80 million, or $215.3 million today, largely from royalty payments, despite it being almost 5 years since his last record was released. As soon as his next album, Bad, was released in 1987...
I'm going to pause it for a second. That is a lesson, yeah? Like, if we are genuine Michael Jackson fans, this is a lesson for us to learn that we need to get assets, basically. Use ourselves as an asset, to build ourselves as an asset, and then buy an asset. And then, you know what I mean? Let the average... I'm going to find out properly, because this... How do you... Leave your answer in the comments below. What did you learn from that information? because I'm still processing it. Yo,
Michael
18
embarked on a
million.
gigantic worldwide
It's 5
tour.
years.
The tour and his music videos helped promote his latest release, pushing it and its singles to the top of the charts. One very expensive investment Jackson personally made towards the project was the production costs for his full-length musical feature film Moonwalker. Costing in excess of $30 million, $80.7 million today, the very ambitious film was released theatrically in Europe and South America, but Warner Brothers canceled plans for a Christmas 1988 theatrical release in the United States.
Let's say you're the CEO of a personal finance. What you really need is a partner to go global, so your customers can pay the way they want.
Moonwalker was instead released on home video and within a year sold more than 800,000 copies in the United States, reportedly grossing $67 million, $165.2 million, when adjusted for inflation. However, for Michael Jackson, the real moneymakers during this period came in the form of album sales and touring. In 1988, Forbes magazine estimated that Jackson was the highest-paid entertainer of the year, earning a colossal $60 million, $155 million in dollars today, during a 12-month period in 1987 to 1988, stating that, quote, rock stars make their money in up to 6 basic ways. There are royalties from songwriting, recording, videos, and souvenirs. There is live performance, and there is sponsorship. And he has been milking all 6. Since its release a year prior, Bad had sold between 12 to 15 million copies and earned him approximately $30 million, $77.5 million when adjusted for inflation. Forbes commenting that although his sales are still high, the cost of producing a Michael Jackson album had also increased. Quote, he would have to repay the costs of recording it advanced by CBS because he spent so much time in the studio. The costs will have been astronomical, but he should be able to afford it. They also note that sales of his top-selling autobiography Moonwalk that sold 120,000 copies in Britain alone, as well as selling tabloid newspapers its serial rights, just one admitting to pay $520,000, meant Jackson raked in millions for the book and contributed to his sky-high earnings during this period. However, Michael Jackson also worked hard for the rest of his millions, performing night after night on his Bad World Tour. Financially, concerts used to be so expensive to produce they were largely just a promotional tool, with artists making money only out of t-shirt and other souvenir sales, all shamelessly overpriced and yielding 25% to the artist. Michael Jackson concerts, however, made the artist a considerable living. Forbes noting that just 14 shows in Britain and Ireland.
I remember, was it on Link Up TV on Instagram? Someone posted, what's this guy's name? I forgot his name, but basically, he found that his mum went to the concert in Wembley, innit? And the price for the ticket back then, compared the price to how much a ticket costs for the average artist now, that don't even do as great as Michael Jackson, and even half. You know what I mean? I put on the show as half as great as him. I'm telling you, the price difference, you know what I mean? Like the value you're getting for your money when you go to a Michael Jackson show. Come on, man. Let's go.
$26.9 million, $69.5 million today. Upon the tour's completion in early 1989, the Bad World Tour grossed a total of $125 million, $308.2 million in dollars today, and was the highest grossing solo tour of the 1980s. As a result, in 1989, Forbes magazine estimated Michael Jackson's earning for the year at $65 million, or $160.2 million when adjusted.
Okay, just a bit. I had to get you. I'm going to run it for a bit just so I can understand anything. So a ticket for Michael Jackson 1988 Wembley Stadium concert cost £17.50. £17 and 50 pence. £17 and 50 pence. Do you know what you can get for that today in regards to going to a concert? You couldn't go to a concert for that money. I'm telling you this from now. £17.50. Aye.
To produce, they were largely just a promotional tool, with artists making money only out of t-shirt and other souvenir sales, all shamelessly overpriced and yielding 25% to the artist. Michael Jackson concerts, however, made the artist a considerable living. Forbes noting that just 14 shows in Britain and Ireland grossed $26.9 million, $69.5 million today. Upon the tour's completion in early 1989, the Bad World Tour grossed a total of $125 million, $308.2 million in dollars today, and was the highest-grossing solo tour of the 1980s. As a result, in 1989, Forbes magazine estimated Michael Jackson's earning for the year at $65 million, or $160.2 million when adjusted for inflation, raking in $40 million, $98.6 million today, from his recent worldwide tour, this making him the second time in a row the world's highest-paid entertainer. However, it wasn't all work and no play for Michael, as he developed a taste for the finer things, spending handsomely on his now lavish lifestyle. His biggest expense was his Santa Barbara residence, Neverland Valley Ranch, which he purchased in 1988 for $19.5 million, $50.4 million in dollars today.
Sorry, why did I say 1988? The year I was born, you know what I'm saying? Hey, what year were you not born? Leave the answer in the comments below. Funny enough, that concert, by the way, was in 1988. Do you know what I mean?
Over the years to come, Jackson spent approximately $35 million, $90.4 million today, transforming the expansive compound into his own paradise, constructing a full-scale movie theater, an amusement park, exotic zoo, bird and reptile house. He also filled his home with art, antiques, arcade games, and anything else he desired.
By the way, know how you mentioned art, yeah? I don't think when it comes to his assets, I don't think many people add that to his assets, but an art collection is asset. That's an asset. Let's keep it.
The yearly running and staffing costs of Neverland was estimated to be $3 million, $7.8 million today, an expense well worth it for the global pop icon. Even with Michael Jackson maintaining a low profile at the dawn of the 1990s, he still appeared on the list of top-earning entertainers in 1990, with an annual income of $35 million, $81.9 million when adjusted for inflation. The reclusive star's wealth grew largely.
What would you do if you were earning $35 million a year? Like $35 million a year. What would you be doing with that money? You know what I mean? Let me know in the comments below. What would you do with that money? $35 million a year. And mind you, this was the late 80s or early 90s kind of. You know what I'm saying? Late 80s, early 90s.
Due to royalties collected for his music, his ATV Catalogue's earnings, and other business ventures, including his best-selling video game collaboration with Sega, Moonwalker. In 1991, Michael Jackson signed an unprecedented deal with Sony Music Entertainment. Quote, "We're married to him now."
Wait. Go back. Did you just see that? Hold on. I know you just saw that.
Sony, as simply a recording artist, Jackson negotiated a much more intertwined Moonwalker. In 1991, Michael Jackson signs
contract that may total to $1 billion. Now hear me out. Michael Jackson did say, I think it was in 2002, where he said he helped generate over $1 billion or billions of dollars for Sony. And look at that headline, and that's like two headlines I've seen from that.
An unprecedented deal with Sony Music Entertainment. Quote, "We're married to him now," said Sony president Michael P. Schwolnoff, as instead of signing with Sony as simply a recording artist, Jackson negotiated a much more intertwined partnership that had the potential to spawn sales of over $1 billion. Collaborating with Sony Music, Columbia Pictures, and Sony Electronic Publishing, the entertainer was expected to not only record 6 studio albums, but to have his hand in a range of endeavors, including films, television, and video gaming. Upon signing the 360-degree contract, Sony agreed to pay Michael Jackson a series of advances totaling $50 million, $112.2 million.
See, hang on. You see that type of negotiation? That's the 360 deal you're supposed to be having, not the ones that the kids are having now. Do you know what I mean? The ones that they're having now with the 360 deals? No. You don't have. This is what you should be looking for. Michael Jackson says, "Study the great study the greats. Yeah, I don't think they're studying Michael Jackson properly. Or
Entertainer was expected to not only record 6 studio albums, but to have his hand in a range of endeavors, including films, television, and video gaming. Upon signing the 360-degree contract, Sony agreed to pay Michael Jackson a series of advances totaling $50 million, $112.2 million in dollars today. However, industry spectators questioned the move. Quote, "Since Sony spent $2 billion on acquiring CBS, it has continued a corporate shopping spree for entertainment properties. Many senior figures in the music and film business seriously questioned the wisdom that motivated Sony to re-sign Jackson, as they see it, regardless of cost."
Well, look at it this way. It's business, right? They realize how much of an asset Michael Jackson is. They've just spent $2 billion, you know what I mean, on acquiring CBS. It's a no-brainer. Let's get that money back, because we know Michael Jackson's going to help us get that money back 10 times. You know what I mean?
After 2 years raking up expensive studio time, giant expectations for Sony to invest tens of millions in marketing, and at least $20 million in music videos to promote Jackson's next LP, Sony was banking on Michael's album sales remaining sky high. With the release of 1991's Dangerous, Michael put everything into promoting the record, including starring in several high-profile music videos, wowing audiences with award show performances and a Super Bowl halftime show, agreeing to his first sit-down interview in 14 years, and embarked on another...
Speaking of the Super Bowl halftime show, you want me to react? In fact, I will react to it. Hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications, and when I react to it, and when I go live in regards to react to it, you'll be able to watch there and then, all right? Let's keep it
worldwide tour. Even though he vowed to never tour again, Jackson was convinced to go on the road by his record label. But this time, it wasn't to line his own pockets, but to benefit his newly found charity, Heal the World, with a goal to raise profits of $100 million by the end of 1993, $211.5 million when adjusted for inflation. Pepsi came in again to sponsor the tour, paying the pop icon undisclosed millions for his endorsement and contributing $100,000, $217,000 today, towards Michael's new foundation. Performing night after night around the world, Dangerous sales increased abroad at a faster pace when compared to domestically, and within 2 years of its release, the LP had sold over 20 million copies. In addition, Jackson had negotiated an even more favorable royalty rate that netted him approximately 25% of an album's retail price, a rate that translated to $2.50 or $5.29 today. Therefore, by 1993, he had made at least $40 million from the release of Dangerous, the first album released under his new contract.
$40 million from that album. Hey, yo.
Aside from his own album sales, Michael Jackson successfully increased profits from his ATV music catalog, and by 1993, it was said to be earning him annually an additional $26 million, or $55 million in dollars today.
This guy's making
in 1993,
money.
Forbes magazine estimated Michael Jackson's net worth to be at around $150 million, or $317.3 million when adjusted for inflation. He was the king of pop, a world-class performer and highly profitable music artist who had leveraged his wealth to acquire considerable assets without the need to take on any extra debts. Although Jackson was a huge earner, he was equally a big spender, giving generously to charities, buying lavish gifts, and making ostentatious purchases. But unfortunately, not all his impressive income was spent on his every whim and desire. Being one of the richest and most famous people in the world meant a large target was placed on his back, whether by the vicious mainstream press.
You see, and this is the reason I said they're after his money, bruh. They're after his money. This is why. They're like, no disrespect, yeah, but like, you see when someone is of that magnitude, he's got a pure, clean heart. Like them evil demons, yeah, they don't like to see good, clean-hearted people win. They don't like to see them consistently having that high level of influence. They don't like to see it. But let's keep it moving.
Or those looking to line their pockets with his fortune by any means possible. Michael soon had a team of lawyers busy in court with cases made against him for numerous reasons, Whether alleged broken contracts, unpaid staff members, accusations he plagiarized music, and even unfounded baby mama drama, none of these character assassinations seem to impact the empire.
Wait. See, I've never seen that one. Baby mama drama? Wait.
Assassinations seem to impact the empire Michael had built. Not until him and desire. Being one of the richest and most famous people in the world meant a large target was placed on his back, whether by the vicious mainstream press or those looking to line their pockets with his fortune by any means possible. Michael soon had a team of lawyers busy in court with cases made against.
Woman gets 2.5 years in jail for harassing Jackson. A woman who repeatedly harassed singer Michael Jackson claimed to be his wife was sentenced to a maximum of 2.5 years in jail for violating court order to stay away from the entertainer. Hey.
Him for numerous reasons, whether alleged broken contracts, unpaid staff members, accusations he plagiarized music, and even unfounded.
Billie Jean filed paternity suit against singer. Twins. Wait, I'm reading this a little part of it. Hanover Park alleged in her lawsuit that she and the singer had contract on 2 occasions on May 5th, 1975 and July 4th, 1981, acknowledged that he is the father of her 5-year-old twins, a girl, boy, and her 11-year-old son. Hey, yo. That's mad. But anyway, if you want me to react to some B. Howard and some Mickey Howard, do you know what I mean? I could do that as well. Hit the subscribe button, turn in the post notification. Let's go. Obviously, it's not Mickey Howard that did that. Don't get it twisted. There's a reason why I said that. I mean, if you know, you know, because she's the real Billie Jean.
Baby mama drama. None of these character assassinations seem to impact the empire Michael had built. Not until the summer of 1993, when one accusation would ignite a series of events that would see his financial good fortune take a detrimental turn for the worse.
Michael Jackson. Like a criminal. I am innocent.
By the summer of 1993, the world-class entertainer was estimated by Forbes magazine to be worth more than $150 million, or $317.3 million when adjusted for inflation, with earnings from the last year amounting to $42 million, or $91 million today. However, when news broke of child molestation allegations just as Jackson was beginning the second leg of his Dangerous World Tour, his financial good fortune began to take a turn. Relentless hounding by the world press as the salacious story developed left Michael in a spiraling personal and public image nightmare. This scandal eventually resulting in the cancellation of the rest of the Dangerous World Tour due to Michael Jackson's deteriorating health and desperate need for treatment for a dependency on prescription drugs.
I see this is what I'm trying to say. This is what I said earlier with the whole Pepsi thing. He would have never been, you know, slightly dependent on that. You know what I'm saying? If that never happened. But I think I don't know. I can't call that. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts on the comments.
The personal nightmare also had its financial ramifications. Soon after Jackson's announcement, Pepsi made their own statement cutting ties with the superstar after 10 years of multi-million-dollar endorsement deals. PepsiCo spokesman Gary Hempel said that the only agreement they had with Jackson was to sponsor this particular international tour. Quote, "The cancellation really effectively cancels our relationship with Michael right now," Hempel commented. Quote, "We just hope he is able to resolve his problems." Although after this decision, Pepsi never worked with Michael Jackson again. Aside from corporate sponsors, canceling the tour incited its promoters to take legal action against the performer in the tune of $20 million, $42.3 million today, arguing that an addiction reason for those invested to lose out, claiming Michael Jackson was dependent on drugs well before the tour contract was negotiated and signed. The lawsuit claimed breach of contract, fraud, fraudulent concealment, negligent misrepresentation, and conspiracy to defraud. Quote, "My client has given Mr. Jackson more than $2 million in advances, $900,000 alone for the days he canceled," the case's lawyers said. In addition to advance money for private jets, stadium rental, and setup personnel. Although no more was reported on this case, Michael likely dealt with the matter out of court, incurring the cost of settling and hefty legal bills in the process. The tour...
Yeah, he most likely sorted out of court. because you know what I mean. You don't want to. It's like you're already going through a lot. But I think it's very shameless of Pepsi to do that. Yeah, very very shameless. You mean to say the deal that happened with his brothers, by the way? I don't know whose idea it was initially. I'm not going to say it's Joseph Jackson's idea because I very much doubt that. And I'm just saying that only because, you know what I mean? I'm most likely going to, I don't want to blame Don King, but I feel like Don King has some association somehow, some way. I could be wrong. But well, let me know what your thoughts are. But the reality is, after that incident, you know what I mean? Michael Jackson still was able to continue to do business with Pepsi. He could have cut ties with them immediately and said, you know what? This is you guys' fault. I should hold you guys accountable. I should sue you guys for this amount, X amount of money. I should now own the majority of this company. He could have easily done that, but he didn't. But let's keep it moving.
This cancellation also had many questioning whether Michael Jackson's ultimate goal was in jeopardy: to raise an incredible $100 million, $211.5 million when adjusted for inflation, for his Heal the World Foundation. The organization did indeed build playgrounds, provided immunizations, and funded scores of children's causes around the world. It helped pay for a Hungarian boy's life-saving liver transplant and co-sponsored an airlift of more than 46 tons of relief supplies to war-torn Bosnia-Herzegovina in 1990.
And do you see why I call them demons? Do you see why I call them demons? Don't think they don't see this stuff that Michael Jackson was doing. They see these things. They see these things. They see the pure goodness of his heart, and they still want to do this.
Although it never reached the pop star's lofty fundraising goal, the foundation reportedly doled out about $4 million, or $8 million today, said its former director Richard Fowler. However, Jackson effectively abandoned the foundation by the mid-90s and never made any more serious attempts to fundraise for his charity past this point. Aside from the loss of earnings Michael Jackson suffered as a result of the child molestation claims, their legal ramifications also took a significant hit on his finances.
What kind of stress are you experiencing thinking about AI?
The most publicized expense being the $23 million, or $47.4 million when adjusted for inflation, settlement Jackson agreed as part of the civil lawsuit. $5 million, or $10.3 million today.
Wait. That $20 million or $23 million was paid by the insurance company, not out of Michael Jackson's pocket, by the way. I think that's one of the most key things that people need to understand. Yeah. One, he didn't want to agree to it in the first place. Two, like, he was fighting in court months. This is why he couldn't continue the tour, because he was fighting in court months, going like the negotiation back and forth to ensure that it goes to a criminal trial. That's what he wanted, so he can prove his innocence in the court of law. That's what he wanted to do. But anyway,
of which was to pay their lawyers' fees, giving us an insight that if the accusers incurred legal costs amounting several $1 million, you could only imagine how much Michael Jackson was paying for legal representation. In fact, he was advised to settle the case, in part because it was the cheaper option when compared to going to court and the additional colossal costs that would occur. However, the multi-million-dollar payout didn't curb Michael's sky-high legal expenses. It actually encouraged countless others to come out of the woodwork and push Jackson for lottery-level settlements of their own. The landslide of cases kept the superstar's world-class legal team busy for years to come, with Jackson now point-blank refusing to pay off those with baseless claims looking to extort money from him. Therefore, the only parties to win were the lawyers involved. In 1994, Forbes magazine reported that in the previous year, Michael Jackson had made $38 million, or $78.4 million in dollars today. An incredible amount of money, but due to the astronomical expenses he incurred as a result of the 1993 allegations, this meant that Michael was for the very first time in financial hot water and needed to release some extra cash. Hence, the King of Pop agreed to sign a 5-year contract with EMI Music to manage his music publishing company, ATV Music, in exchange for an advance of $70 million, or $148 million today, against revenue that EMI expected to generate. In addition, EMI agreed to enter into partnership with Jackson and provide him with financing to acquire other music catalogs. In 1995, Michael would leverage his ATV music catalog once again when Sony offered Jackson $110 million, or $200.6 million today, for a 50% stake in an ATV and Sony music publishing joint venture. Jackson essentially sold half of his ownership of the Beatles and other songs for a large profit. Sony ATV becoming the second largest music publisher.
Did he really? We're gonna get into that properly. I feel like there's certain things that are misconstrued here, but let's keep it moving. Shout out to the Moonwalkers. All the Moonwalkers watching towards the end of this, you lot are real ones. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the poll notification.
In the world worth $500 million, the equivalent of $1 billion today. Administrative expertise was provided by Sony, and Jackson was a company director and attended board meetings regularly. As each party in the arrangement held the power of a veto, Michael still remained in control, as both sides would have to agree on a decision before it could be made. As a result of the King of Pop's savvy business arrangements, they helped his yearly income, with Forbes magazine reporting in 1996 that the global superstar had earned the previous year approximately $67 million, or $130.5 million today, and the year after, $90 million, $171.4 million today. Aside from publishing, Michael Jackson was keen to get his music career back on track and release another top-selling record. But yet again, the significant profits he made from selling albums were eaten up by his King of Pop demands. Delay after delay, hiring out expensive studio spaces, a record for Michael Jackson demanded the most elaborate of marketing strategies. Predicting sales worth $500 million, much of the $40 million, or $80 million today, spent to promote his latest release, the double album epic History, came from the artist. Jackson himself invested $5 million, or $10 million today, producing a controversial 4-minute album teaser for the project, and spent $7 million, or $14 million today, creating the most expensive music video in all time for its lead single Scream. Within the first year of its release, History.
And that's the thing, yeah. We need to. I feel like some of these information is. I'm not gonna say it's not entirely accurate because, again, I still believe he was a billionaire by the age of 29. I still believe that. I still believe that. But let's keep it moving.
Reportedly sold over 11 million copies. Impressive by the standards of most pop stars, but well below previous sales by one of the best-selling pop singers of all time. And for the first time ever,
You know why that is? Let me tell you why that is. I tell you exactly why that is. You see, outside of America, do you know what I mean? He's doing well. But in America, it would seem like he wasn't doing well. Do you know why that is? Because they had an agenda against him. That's why. You cannot tell me any different. Yeah? Because they're after his money. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And they're trying to make it seem like he was lacking in money. You almost forget, like this guy almost forget that he's Neverland Ranch, he's got animals, he can, they're assets as well. There's levels to this, and obviously, I don't know, there's levels to it. Let's keep moving on. I don't know.
Michael Jackson actually lost money releasing new music. This may be why, during a live internet chat, MJ said of History, quote, "This might be my last album I ever do. I will always create music, but I'm not sure if I'll create another album."
No, I think the reason why he did that, because think about it. Let's think about this. He's been in the industry for how long? Since he was a child. He just wants a break. The consistent releasing music, touring, and the fact that he's getting these negative headlines, he just wants a break. It's human nature to just want to have a break. It's human nature. Because think about it. At the age, let's do the maths here, yeah. Let's see. When was History? Past, present, and future released. Hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications. So it was released on June 20th, 1995, right? Now watch this. How old was Michael Jackson in 1995? Michael Jackson was 36 years old. Yeah? He turned 37 obviously on August 29th, 1995, during the year History was released. Now, how long had he been in the music industry since 1995? Just put since the release of his album in 1995. So Michael Jackson had been in the music industry for about 31 years. 31 years. Yeah, he wants a break. You can't tell. Listen, there comes a point in your life, yeah, where even though you know you're good at something, sometimes you're like, you know what, let me just have a break. You know what I mean? Let me have a break. And knowing what he was going through, yeah, he needed a break. You know what I mean? He needed a proper break. But obviously, when you got obligations, you sign a contract, it's like you got to keep your end of the bargain, innit? You got to keep your end of the deal. But let's keep it moving.
However, Jackson knew he could earn the big bucks not just from record sales. Accepting an offer of $17 million, or $33.1 million when adjusted for inflation, Michael Jackson agreed to perform to 60,000 guests at the Sultan of Brunei's 50th birthday celebrations in July of 1996. Mere months later, he embarked on the History World Tour. Performing 82 shows over 13 months, History became his highest-grossing tour ever, raking in $165 million, or $314.3 million today. They were some of the most expensive shows ever staged, but during the tour, just 2 Sydney stages reaped almost $7 million in ticket sales alone, with merchandising raising another $1 million.
Wow. No. Wow.
It hasn't been reported what cut Michael Jackson took from the world tour, but Forbes estimated in 1997 that the global superstar had earned the year before $55 million, or $104.7 million today. From this period onwards, Michael Jackson fell off the top earning lists as press outlets began to report on his spiraling finances and mounting debts. His spending became increasingly outrageous, which included the $15 million, or $28.5 million today, he coughed up to produce his Ghosts short film. The video epic included elaborate sets, costumes, and cutting-edge special effects, and was released in order to promote what would become his lowest-selling album in decades, 1997's Blood on the Dance Floor. The latter part of the 1990s also characterized by announcements of grand, but...
Listen, when you say flop, how much did that sell? When you say flop, hold on. How many records did Blood on the Dance Floor sell? Over 6 million copies worldwide. That's still a lot of money. That's still a lot of sales. It was certified platinum in 2000 for shipments of over 1 million units. All right. Let me see in the US. 1 million units in the US.
Ultimately fruitless business dealings. It was clear that as his musical star faded, he desperately tried to invest in new sources of income. However, several of these ventures went disastrously wrong. Pouring millions into an internet venture called HollywoodTicket.com, The website was meant to offer exclusive backstage concert packages for fans with money to burn. Instead, it crashed and burned itself, and in 2001, its former partners sued Jackson for $25 million, or $42 million today, for what they claim were unpaid fees. Jackson also invested $11 million, or $18.7 million today, into a partnership with his company, Neverland Entertainment and MDP Worldwide Entertainment, to set up a new film production studio which failed to launch. Similarly, Michael Jackson invested heavily in his company Kingdom Entertainment, which hoped to build and manage family-friendly theme parks, hotels, and other attractions around the world. The venture took a large stake in Landmark Entertainment, a Californian company specializing in the design of theme park rides, and made headlines scouting locations in Detroit, Michigan, and the country of Poland, to name just a few. However, yet again, the ambitious plans never came into fruition. At the same time, the singer continued to spend as if he were still topping the charts like back in the 1980s. His Neverland Ranch annual running costs was said to be costing more than $7 million, or $11.8 million in dollars today. Michael's financial salvation could have come in the form of his 2001 studio album Invincible, but with the record's production costing $40 million, or $69 million in today's dollars, was said to be the most expensive album ever made and failed to cover its costs. In 2003, Forbes magazine estimated that Michael Jackson had accumulated debts of.
This is why, and how is this? This is the thing here. How are Forbes trying to analyze and say this is the amount of debt that they have, that this person has? How do you know? Where do you get this information from? Furthermore, where do you get the information from that this is how much a person is making? Like, how do you, like, how? Just how? Leave your answer in the comments below. If you want to find out that information as well, yeah, we're gonna look into that because we're gonna look into what is net worth another time and how to build a net worth. Get me? Because it's all good looking at someone else's net worth. It's all good, but the reality is, what about your own personal net worth? Yeah. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Hit the subscribe button, turn in the post notification. Yeah, man, let's go.
Over $200 million, or $332 million today, but had a net worth of $350 million, or $581 million today. According to a 2002 suit filed in the Californian Superior Court by Union Finance Investment Corp. Seeking unpaid fees and expenses amounting to $12 million, or $20.4 million today. Jackson's borrowing had gotten out of control. 1998 documents showed loans totaling $90 million from Bank of America were nearly exhausted. Jackson later sought additional capital, and by 2000, Jackson had taken out loans totaling $270 million, or $480 million today. Some of the debt was secured using Sony ATV as collateral. Other loans were backed by Neverland and MyJack, a separate music publishing firm comprising of MJ's own music. Quote, "For whatever reason, Michael Jackson is not paying his debts," said Pierce O'Donnell, a leading entertainment finance lawyer. Quote, "He has little or no means of income."
Hey guys, B2B Buyer here with another video. Today's the big day. The rep finally said we'd get our.
He lives off a line of credit. Brett Pulley, who covered Jackson's fortunes for Forbes, said there was, quote, "plenty of anecdotal evidence that Jackson's spending is way out of control. Although his super
Incidental. Wait. We're gonna look into what the hell that means. The way I want to look to what I want to know, yeah, as far as Michael Jackson's wealth is concerned, because they're saying it's this, it's that he was in debt. Okay, but how do you know? My question is, I would like to hear from Michael Jackson's accountants. Then tell me. Then it's easier to understand. Oh, this is how much he really made. You understand? Because all of this is just estimate at this point. But we're gonna get into.
He lives off a line of credit. Brett Pulley, who covered Jackson's fortunes for Forbes, said there was, quote, "plenty of anecdotal
evidence." Okay. All right. So what? Okay, I'm gonna do this. No. Anecdotal evidence. Meaning, okay. Okay, so anecdotal evidence is a claim based on a personal experience, observational, individual stories, rather than a systematic research on statistical analysts. But okay, so that means hold on. Does this mean that that the person has actual evidence to prove? Or is it just hearsay? You know what I mean? There's hearsay and all that stuff there. All right, let's keep moving.
Evidence that Jackson's spending is way out of control. Although his superstar lifestyle was often cited as the main culprit for Jackson's money woes, courthouse dramas that continually followed him also claimed a considerable chunk of his income. However, certain legal bills and court-enforced payouts could have been avoided, including the $1.7 million, or $2.9 million today, awarded to Sotheby's auction house for paintings Jackson bought, then decided he didn't want, and $5.3 million, or $9 million today, that went to a German concert promoter in a breach of contract suit. Quote, Michael Jackson has for years been beset by lawsuits. Poley noted, quote, what we see now is his inclination to get out there and fight those suits, which speaks to the idea that the cash isn't there to make things go away. However, publicly, the King of Pop...
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Because in order for you to go to court, you need the money to fight. To fight in court, you need the money to pay your attorneys. That's one thing. You have to pay your attorneys. Otherwise, the attorney's not going to be there to fight the case for him. Am I right or am I wrong? It's not about paying for it to go away. It don't work that way. You don't pay for things to go away. You just don't. You may pay to settle some things out of court. You know what I mean? In private, fair enough. That's understandable. But come on, man. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it real.
Kept up with his mega-rich image, coyly suggesting to interviewer Martin Bashir in the 2003 documentary Living with Michael Jackson that he was worth somewhere around $1 billion. When this film was broadcast...
See? I was right. He's worth what? $1 billion. Yeah, $1 billion.
Brett Pulley, who covered Jackson's fortunes for Forbes, said there was, quote, plenty of anecdotal evidence that Jackson's spending is way out of control. Although his superstar lifestyle was often cited as the main culprit for Jackson's money woes, courthouse dramas that continually followed him also claimed a considerable chunk of his income. However, certain legal bills and court-enforced payouts could have been avoided, including the $1.7 million, or $2.9 million today, awarded to Sotheby's auction house for paintings Jackson bought, then decided he didn't want, and $5.3 million, or $9 million today, that went to a German concert promoter in a breach of contract suit. Quote, Michael Jackson has for years been beset by lawsuits. Poley noted, quote, what we see now is his inclination to get out there and fight those suits, which speaks to the idea that the cash isn't there to make things go away. However, publicly, the King of Pop kept up with his mega-rich image, coyly suggesting to interviewer Martin Bashir in the 2003 documentary Living with Michael Jackson that he was worth somewhere around $1 billion. When this film was broadcast on ABC in 2003, it caused major...
Like, the thing is, I knew I heard him say he's worth $1 billion, but there's somewhere else where I've heard that he was a billionaire by the age of 29. I'm sure I've heard it. Let's keep
controversy for the artist and eventually led to him being accused of a second round of child abuse allegations, although this time Michael Jackson was determined to fight for his innocence in the courts. After a grueling and lengthy legal battle, Jackson came out of the whole ordeal victorious, but his health and bank balance were left in tatters as a result. Michael Jackson was spending like a billionaire on a millionaire's budget, with reports claiming that the superstar was on the brink of financial collapse. John DeRosso Bryan, a forensic accountant who testified during the pop star's trial, said Jackson spent up to $30 million, or $47 million today, a year more than he earned. Reportedly, the singer dropped $6 million, or $9.4 million today, on one shopping...
Wait. Time out. So are you telling me what he was earning? Let's think about this logically, yeah? Let's think about this logically. the money he was earning from his albums, his previous albums, are you saying he stopped earning money from that? Are you saying he stopped and then after buying publishing, ATV publishing, and then Sony's 50% publishing and doing a joint venture, you telling me he's not earning the same amount or just a bit more? Somewhere, somehow, there's some maths that's not mathing. And I could be completely wrong, but you let me know in the comments below, because the way they're trying to paint this now, not the details, but just the way that it's painted, the way the narrative, Michael Jackson was in debt. He was in debt. No, they want you to think he was in debt. The same way they tried to make people think he was this type of person when he's not. Do you see it? Like, come on, man, don't get it twisted.
Spree in Las Vegas, and the prosecution said in closing arguments he withdraws $1 million, or $1.6 million today, in cash at a time, and pays at least $4 million, or $6.3 million today, in legal bills most years. Legal analysts estimated that Michael Jackson invested up to $10 million, or $15.7 million today, on his legal team for the child abuse trial alone. Bank of America came down hard on Jackson, almost forcing him into bankruptcy proceedings after he fell short of a scheduled payment by about $300,000 for his $270 million, or $423 million today, worth of loans. However, after mounting pressure, Bank of America walked away from the situation, the bank notifying Jackson via fax that they were selling the loan package to Fortress Investment LLC to manage. An obvious solution to mounting debts when you have significant assets is to sell some of them to lower your liabilities. However, quote, he does not want to sell his publishing, so his alternative is to restructure those debts. If able to restructure under favorable terms where the revenues of those assets can service the interest payments, he can handle it.
By the way, there is many multi-millionaires and many billionaires that restructure their finances to pay off debts, because how they get rich and maintain maintain their richness or maintain their wealth is by getting money from other people. Do you understand? They get money from other people or other businesses, and that's how it works. You know what I mean? They use debt. They use other people's money. I forgot what the term is, but they use other people's money, basically. Yeah, OPP. You know me. No, OPM.
If he can't restructure, he might have to sell a percentage of his publishing, said Forbes editor Brett Pulley. However, Michael Jackson chose not to face reality, so no major financial restructuring took place, and the global icon didn't curb his spending neither. In fact, due to interest payments outstripping his income, his colossal debts were only increasing. Jackson spent his final years living off the generosity of incredibly wealthy individuals he surrounded himself, particularly while living in the Middle East, staying in their hotels, using their luxury cars, and accepting any monetary gifts they might offer, including Brunei's Prince Azim, who in 2007 offered the King of Pop $10 million, or $14.7 million today, just to show up at his 25th birthday party in London. However, this behavior also got Jackson in some legal hot water when the King of Bahrain's son sued the pop star for $7 million, or $10.3 million today. Sheikh Abdullah bin Hamad Al Khalifa filed a breach of contract case, claiming Michael took $7 million as an advance on an album and an autobiography that he never produced. However, Jackson claimed the money was a gift. Al Khalifa also claimed that he paid the superstar $35,000, or $52,000 today, to go towards paying the utility costs at Neverland, and another $2.2 million, or $3.2 million today, to cover some of his legal bills.
You see, this is the issue of trying to accept money from other people. They will act like it's a gift. Like, no, seriously, pay attention to what I'm about to say. They would act as if it's a gift, but it's not really a gift. It's like there's something else that you need to be doing that they want from you. But the thing is, unless there's a signed contract, then there's nothing. It's just like it's wishful thinking. Other than that, the money you give it to me is free, innit? You know, what do you want to do?
From the 2005 child molestation trial, Al Khalifa said he believed the money would be repaid once Jackson's career had recovered. Our last in-depth look at Michael's spiraling finances was revealed as part of court proceedings in 2007. In the documents, forensic accountants claimed Michael Jackson had total assets worth $567 million, or $836.8 million today. However, the 5-page report also said Jackson now had debts of $331 million, or $488 million today, leaving him with a net worth of $236.6 million, or $348.8 million today. They put a net value on Jackson's 50% stake in the Sony ATV Music Publishing Catalog, his most prized asset, at $390.6 million, or $575.9 million today, and claimed the singer had just $668,215 in cash. Michael Jackson's last attempt at turning a new leaf in his finances and resurrecting his legendary career came in 2009. Drowning in debt, now reportedly at $400 million or $570 million today, the world-class performer fell back on what he knew he could make serious cash on: live performance. Therefore, he agreed to a new 50-date concert series.
Stop. For now. Hear me out. When I first heard this news, it was not 50 days. It wasn't 50 days. I promise you, it was not 50 days. Originally, it was around 10 days or something like that, but it definitely wasn't 50. It definitely wasn't 50. It increased to 50 because of the demand. Yeah, it was because of the demand. So he agreed to it.
This is it at London's O2 Arena. The shows were reportedly going to earn Michael at least $50 million, or $71 million today, but industry insiders said this could be just the beginning. AEG, the organizers of the concerts, originally proposed a 3-year tour starting in Europe, then traveling to Asia, and finally returning to the United States. Although at that point, Jackson only committed to the O2 engagement. The demand was there for global concert ticket sales exceeding $450 million, or $641 million today. Quote, "You were talking about a guy who could make $500 million a year if he puts his mind to it," Tom Barak, a Californian financier, commented. Quote, "There are very few individual artists who are multi-billion-dollar businesses, and he is one. According to its contract with..."
Read that again. What was that? What was that quote? What was that quote?
Commented. Quote, There are very
few individual artists who are multi-billion-dollar businesses, and he is one." One more time. There are very few individual artists who are multi-billion-dollar businesses, and he is one. Let's go.
Few individual artists who are multi-billion-dollar businesses, and he is one. According to its contract with the entertainer, AEG advanced Jackson close to $30 million, or $42.7 million today, which included a $15 million line of credit, a $5 million advance, $7.5 million to cover production costs, and rent for a Holmby Hills mansion. But with his Neverland Ranch on the brink of foreclosure, his belongings narrowly stopped from being auctioned, and still with endless multi-million-dollar legal...
Okay, yeah, I just had to do a quick Googles, innit? Initially, the This Is It tour was announced with 10 dates, but due to the overwhelming demand, it was ultimately expanded to 50 shows, yeah? Originally, the expansion after the first dates quickly sold out. 14 more shows were added. Like, I remember, because do you know why I remember? Because I remember where I was working. I remember, Tubular's fan, Ultimate Trouble. Okay. Anyway, I remember where I was working, and I was like, when it happened, yeah, I couldn't even get tickets because it was sold out that quickly. Like, it was that quick. I'm like, and then when it was announced it was going to be 50, I'm like, good. In my lifetime, I'll be able to see Michael Jackson live. I was thinking I'll be able to see Michael Jackson live. Let me just get me, like, where I'm working, let me just save up the money and then boom, I can pay for it. Little did I know what the situation was going to happen. Like, yeah, man. But anyway, get me, let's go.
Drama's looming. The King of Pop tragically passed away mere weeks before scheduled to hit the stage once again. But what tangled mess did Michael Jackson leave behind? How did the estate's finances prosper post the artist's demise? And was Michael Jackson worth more dead than alive?
Hey, listen, that's what Shaka Khan said, yeah? Shaka Khan said, yeah, artists the certain artists, you know what I mean? This was in regards to the situation. I think it was about Michael Jackson. It was either Michael Jackson, talking about Michael Jackson or someone else, or Whitney Houston, one of the two. And she was saying that certain artists, unfortunately, are worth more, unalive than alive. It's mad.
After news broke of Michael Jackson's sudden passing on June 25, 2009, radio airwaves were filled with his most beloved music as a tribute, to celebrate an artist that truly redefined modern popular music. Having experienced decade-long periods of spiraling debts and career downfalls, Michael Jackson's finances had fallen into complete disarray by the time of his demise. So how did the superstar's shocking death ignite a career resurgence? How many billions has the Michael Jackson estate made sense? And ultimately, was Michael Jackson really worth more dead than alive?
Hear that? How many billions?
Here's the detail.
Alright, let's go.
As the world mourned, nostalgia for his extensive catalog strengthened and posthumous sales of Michael Jackson skyrocketed up the charts. Billboard reported that distributors quickly ran out of physical CDs, but in the age of digital music, online purchases helped fuel the sudden surge of demand in the wake of his passing. Within 2 weeks, Jackson sold over 800,000 albums, according to Nielsen SoundScan. The artist also sold over 2.7 million digital singles, and if you include the Jackson 5 in Nielsen totals, Jackson was responsible for more than 6.2 million downloads. To put this in context, no single artist had sold more than 1 million digital tracks in a single week since Nielsen began recording in July 2004. However, despite
Michael Jackson forever will break records. New ones, old ones, like he will just continue to break records. It's just who it is. It's just who he is. He breaks records, all right? I think we need to call it a new name. We can't even call it breaking records anymore. It's Michael Jackson right now. You know what I mean? You're Michael Jackson in. Let's go.
This huge influx in music sales, Michael Jackson's finances were in complete disarray at the time of his death, and many feared whether there was enough even to pay for the superstar's funeral. When the King of Pop's will was opened, which was last updated in 2002, it named his former attorney John Branca.
Listen, you see, let me ask you this question, and this is where it gets. I want to calm down when I talk about this. Yeah. Leave your answer in the comment section below. Do you believe his last will is in 2002? The reason why I asked that question is because think about all the businesses he's been doing in between then, between 2002 and 2009. Are you telling me he did not update his will? Are you telling me he did not update his will? Another question. Think about this in this context. He's going on a 50-day. Originally, it was a 10-day tour, sold out. Then another 40 is added, so in total it's 40 days. Are you telling me he did not update his will? Nah, something snaky is going on. Yeah, with John Branca and John McClane. You got to bear in mind. What's not mentioned, and he probably will mention it in this, I do not know. There was a time when Michael Jackson fired both John McClane and John Branca. Yeah, for being snakes. But we could talk about that another day. Let's go.
How many billions has the Michael Jackson estate made sense? And ultimately, was Michael Jackson really worth more dead than alive? Here's the detail.
And the plus, his family should own their estate now. Like,
as the world mourned, nostalgia for his extensive catalog strengthened and posthumous sales of Michael Jackson skyrocketed up the charts. Billboard reported that distributors quickly ran out of physical CDs, but in the age of digital music, online purchases helped fuel the sudden surge of demand in the wake of his passing. Within 2 weeks, Jackson sold over 800,000 albums, according to Nielsen SoundScan. The artist also sold over 2.7 million digital singles, and if you include the Jackson 5 in Nielsen totals, Jackson was responsible for more than 6.2 million downloads. To put this in context, no single artist had sold more than 1 million digital tracks in a single week since Nielsen began recording in July 2004. However, despite this huge influx in music sales, Michael Jackson's finances were in complete disarray at the time of his death, and many feared whether there was enough even to pay for the superstar's funeral. When the King of Pop's will was opened, which was last updated in 2002, it named his former attorney John Branca and music executive John McClain as executors of the will and confirms that the Michael Jackson estate should be placed in a private trust. The singer left $33 million to each of his 3 children, as well as his mother Catherine. They were named as beneficiaries of the estate, both parties being given a 40% share, while the remaining 20% going to unspecified charities that benefited children. Jackson's trust also included a no contest clause that called for anyone who challenged the will to be disinherited. The executors moved quickly to take control of all of Michael Jackson's property, going to court hours after filing to challenge a previous ruling that gave Catherine Jackson control of 2,000 items from Neverland that were to be sold at auction mere months earlier. Paul Gordon Hoffman, an attorney for the executors, told a Superior Court judge his clients are the proper people to take over Jackson's financial affairs from now on. With an estimated value of more than $500 million, documents stated that Jackson's estate consisted almost entirely of non-cash, non-liquid assets, including primarily an interest in the catalog of music royalty rights which is currently being administered by Sony ATV. While Jackson's portion of Sony ATV was worth an estimated $500 million at the time of his death, he also had about $400 million of debt taken out against it. Despite speculation, Branca said at the time, quote, "We do not contemplate selling any portion of Sony ATV."
Don't contemplate selling any portion of Sony ATV. Look what they did years later. They sold it.
Aftermath of the superstar's death, the posthumous business of Michael Jackson was predicted to generate $50 million to $100 million annually. Quote, "We are very optimistic about the revenue we will generate," said Howard Weitzman, an attorney for the estate. Quote, "But we also have to be sober about the debt the estate has." That being said, the estate swiftly got to work, and one of the first things they did was struck up a deal with Sony worth $60 million for the distribution rights on a movie using footage shot during rehearsals for the concerts Jackson was never to perform in London. Titled This Is It, when it debuted in theaters in October 2009, ticket sales for the film broke international records a month before.
By the way, let me tell you something. The title of that tour is eerie. This is it. And
For its release, and the film made $261 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing documentary concert film of all time. This Is It was also the title of the film's accompanying compilation album, which debuted at #1 on the US pop charts, selling in its first week 373,000 copies, according to Nielsen SoundScan. The success of This Is It, a massive spike in music sales, a deal to re-release Jackson's 1988 autobiography, and various other merchandising contracts, meant the executors netted almost $100 million in its first few months, with the expectation for another $100 million to roll in by the end of their first 12 months in operation. Quote, "We're approaching the $100 million mark," said Branca. Quote, "Clearly that's a new record for estates that likely will not be broken." Many experts believed that Jackson's estate earnings could eclipse those of another famous and profitable music icon, Elvis Presley. Quote, "Unlike the typical estate, the operation of Michael Jackson's estate is more akin to the operation of a multi-million-dollar business enterprise," attorney Gerald S. Cohen commented. Now raking in the cash, those responsible were looking to benefit from their success, with both Branca and McClain in late 2009 filing in court seeking 5% of profits the estate had earned so far. At this point, the administrators and attorneys had not been paid since Jackson's death, and for the work they had done resurrecting the pop icon's finances. In March 2010, the estate secured another windfall of cash when they signed with Sony Music a record-breaking $250 million deal for music distribution rights. The blockbuster agreement involved as many as 10 new Jackson projects, including computer video games and music and film releases. Described by Sony and Jackson's estate as the most lucrative music contract on record, the deal would reportedly guarantee the late singer's heirs at least $200 million. By the first anniversary of his death, Billboard.com estimated that projects relating to Michael Jackson had grossed nearly $1 billion, in part because of the new Sony Music record deal and the posthumous documentary. This Is It. Not only in cinema tickets, but the accompanying DVD had earned $43 million in US sales and $23 million in rental revenue. Over the 12-month period, Michael Jackson's catalog earned about $383 million and about $34 million in digital sales, with over 40 million albums sold worldwide, making him by far the highest-selling artist of the year. It was estimated that his estate had earned $250 million thus far. John Branca noting that the other high-earning careers held by dead music legends indicated the value of Jackson's brand. Quote, "If you look at Elvis and the Beatles and how their brands are thriving, they only hint at what the future holds for Michael." This demonstrating that the legacy of Michael Jackson was far more profitable than...
This is why it becomes a bit techie, yeah, because it's like, whether he was really in debt, who knows? Maybe he was. But at the same time, even if he wasn't, I still... Like, it's bittersweet with John Branca, innit? Like, what can I say? He can be an astute businessman, but at the same time, I'm like, yo, listen, you know what I'm saying? There's some things you need to be doing. You need to be doing. If you're saying you really want to help out Michael Jackson's estate and extend Michael Jackson's legacy, come on, man.
When the pop performer was alive, far exceeding his earnings at the peak of his profitability in the late 1980s when he was named the highest paid entertainer in the world. In 2010, Forbes named Michael Jackson the highest earning dead celebrity, with a gross income of $275 million, noting that, quote, he'd had posthumous number ones, a hit film, and now with his highest album pre-sales ever, Jackson is in pole position to top the Christmas charts. Not bad for a washed-up dead man.
What?
The album in question was the posthumous Michael, released in late 2010. The now controversial record in its first 5 weeks sold over 434,000 copies in the United States and went on to sell over 3 million copies.
If you want to build an app and have no idea how to code or where to start, check out Base 44.
During the 2010 Christmas period, Michael Jackson The Experience, a video game based on MJ's music, was also released. It was developed and published by Ubisoft for Nintendo DS, PlayStation Portable, and Wii, and sold 2 million units in 2 months, making it one of Wii's best-selling games.
Trust me,
However, despite the Michael Jackson estate having generated over $310 million in revenue by 2011, according to court papers filed, administrators were still grappling with the enormous amounts of debt Jackson left behind. His estate at that point had used $159 million to pay down the pop star's debt, which when Jackson died amounted to more than $400 million, as court records showed. Quote, although there remains unresolved creditor claims, pending litigation, and additional challenging business, tax, and legal issues, the executors have made substantial progress in reducing the estate's debt, the document claimed. The Michael Jackson estate also had issues with the Jackson family, who disapproved with how they were managing their family members' prized legacy and disputed their lack of say in decisions being made.
If you don't include the family, listen. If you're not including the family to have their say, at least even if it's just his kids and his mom, yeah, and his dad, all right, fair enough. The dad is a bit of a, you know what I mean, because sometimes he can make some, decisions where you're like, well, what's going on here? But that aside, and obviously now it's impossible because may you rest in peace. But that aside, the kids are now adults. They're now adults, so now they should have a say. They should be able to have a say. I'm not sorry. It's their dad. It's their dad. They should have a say. Michael Jackson is the mother. Sorry, Catherine Jackson is the mother of Michael Jackson. She should have to say. She should 100%. She should be having a say. If there's anyone that knows her son, it's her. Mothers know their kids. Mothers know their kid. Mothers know, okay, maybe this is what my son would have wanted to do. But then I get it. Sometimes sons can exceed their mother's expectations in some things. But anyway, let's keep it moving.
Despite this, the beneficiaries of the estate, that included his mother and children, received more than $9 million in payments since Jackson's death. The estate paid Jackson's mother $70,000 a month in child support for his 3 children, settled the rent on their mansion in Calabasas, and also picked up the bills for other expenses, which included renovations on the Jackson family home in Encino, Los Angeles. The following year, the estate registered 2012 profits that upped Jackson's total earnings to $475 million since the superstar's death, with over $165 million of that sum made in the last year. At this point, many of his major debts had either been resolved or were no longer delinquent. Branca stated that the singer's personal debt of $200 million had been paid off, and another $300 million tied to his ownership of the Sony and ATV catalogs had been renegotiated. Quote, "Michael had a will and a trust, and that's what we follow," he said. They also announced an agreement with Sony ATV Music Publishing to administer.
So why sell Sony ATV Publishing?
Since Jackson's death. The estate paid Jackson's mother $70,000 a month in child support for his 3 children, settled the rent on their mansion in Calabasas, and also picked up the bills for other expenses, which included renovations on the Jackson family home in Encino, Los Angeles. The following year, the estate registered 2012 profits that upped Jackson's total earnings to $475 million since the superstar's death, with over $165 million of that sum made in the last year. At this point, many of his major debts had either been resolved or were no longer delinquent. Branca stated that the singer's personal debt of $200 million had been paid off, and another $300 million tied to his ownership of the Sony and ATV catalogs had been renegotiated. Quote, "Michael had a will and a trust, and that's what we follow," he said. They also announced an agreement with Sony ATV Music Publishing to administer Jackson's My Jack Music Catalog. The deal was expected to generate enough revenue to pay off a remaining $5 million loan by the end of 2012. That same year, the 25th anniversary deluxe edition of Michael Jackson's 1987 Bad album was released, as well as the accompanying documentary directed by Spike Lee, Bad 25, to great acclaim. The state also had great success with Michael Jackson The Immortal World Tour, a Cirque du Soleil tribute show based on Jackson's music. The arena show began touring in October 2011 and finished in February 2014. Totaling 501 shows in 141 cities, just 2 months after it was launched, the show had sold over $100 million in ticket sales. Eventually, the tour amassed $371 million in revenue, making it the most financially successful Cirque production ever, the highest grossing tribute show in history, and the 8th highest grossing tour of all time. In 2013, Forbes estimated that the estate had made over $145 million in the last year through a range of music and merchandising deals, as well as another collaboration with Cirque du Soleil that resulted in an elaborate new residency, Michael Jackson 1 in Las Vegas. The magazine also confirmed that the estate had earned at least $600 million since 2009. "Time is an elixir," said Stephen G. Hill, the president of music programming and specials at BET Networks. Quote, "We've already seen in 4 years that what is really celebrated about him is his music and his place among the greatest entertainers of all time." By this point, the Michael Jackson estate had effectively eliminated the colossal debts the superstar left behind, and they were now a fully solvent entity. In 2014, the year would be marked by the release of the estate's second posthumous album, Escape. The album charted higher than Michael, going to number 1 in its first week of release in worldwide sales, selling upwards of 1 million copies. The record was preceded by the release of its lead single, Love Never Felt So Good, which included a newly recorded version that featured Justin
Timberlake. We're gonna call him that. After what he did to Michael Jackson's sister, and it took him how many years later to not really apologize properly? Get out of here, bruh. Get out of it.
Timberlake. Reaching a Billboard Hot 100 chart position of number 9, the track gave Michael Jackson his first top 10 hit since 2001's You Rock My World. To promote the new record, the estate employed cutting-edge technology company Hologram USA Inc. to bring Michael's magic back to life one more time for the 2014 Billboard Awards, debuting a controversial Michael Jackson hologram performing the track Slave to the Rhythm at the star-studded ceremony. By the 5th anniversary of the artist's death, Jackson's star power was brighter than it had been in decades thanks to John Branca and John McClane, who had pocketed more than $17 million between them for their work with the estate. By the end of 2014, Forbes had Michael Jackson, once again, in the #1 position in their list of top-earning dead celebrities, reporting annual earnings of $140 million. In 2015, Michael Jackson, yet again, was in top position with an income of $115 million from the previous 12 months. In May 2015, it was announced that the Neverland Ranch, renamed Sycamore Valley Ranch, would be put up for sale with an initial price tag of $100 million. After years of speculation that the ranch, one of the most famous private residences in the world, would be open for the public as a Graceland-style attraction. The property that once served as Jackson's home and personal fantasy land was finally listed for sale after years in limbo since his death. Jointly owned by the Jackson Estate and Colony North Star, according to Time, the owners were seeking a buyer who did not plan to turn the ranch into a Jackson museum. However, due to lack of interest, the asking price of the ranch was dropped to $67 million by February 2017, and then dropped once again in February 2019 to $31 million.
That's bad. That's very
Before December 2020, when billionaire Ron Burkle, a former family friend of Jackson, purchased the property at a rock-bottom price of $22 million as a, quote, land banking opportunity.
Don't start your day with a gross piece of plastic in your hand. Adding to the 4 billion plastic toothbrushes that get thrown away each year, here's a much...
However, despite Neverland turning out to be one of the superstar's less astute investments, in 2016 his estate collected a colossal windfall of cash from the sale of his most prized asset, Sony ATV Music Publishing. Valued at an estimated $1.5 billion, Michael Jackson's 50% share of Sony/ATV was making an annual income of around $80 million, with the most popular Beatles songs generating between $300,000 to $400,000 each. In September 2016, a deal was finalized for acquisition of Jackson's share of Sony/ATV from the Jackson Estate for $750 million.
So you're telling me it was making more, but you're selling it for less? Is that how that works? Is that how that works? First of all, Michael Jackson didn't want to sell it in the first place. Secondly, if you're trying to say he's in debt and now all the debts are cleared, you still want to sell it. You still want to sell it off. Maybe I didn't see right.
Before December 2020, when billionaire Ron Burkle, a former family friend of Jackson, purchased the property at a rock-bottom price of $22 million as a, quote, land banking opportunity. However, despite Neverland turning out to be one of the superstar's less astute investments, in 2016 his estate collected a colossal windfall of cash from the sale of his most prized asset, Sony ATV Music Publishing. Valued at an estimated $1.5 billion, Michael Jackson's 50% share of Sony/ATV was making an annual income of around $80 million, with the most...
Okay, my bad. If it's making an annual income of $80 million and you're selling it for $750 million, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. But it's still shouldn't have been sold. I don't see what the reason was. I don't know what the reason was when the debts have been cleared. You say there's debts and now they've been cleared. So why are you selling it? Greed.
Popular Beatles songs generating between $300,000 to $400,000 each. In September 2016, a deal was finalized for Sony's acquisition of Jackson's share of Sony/ATV from the Jackson Estate for $750 million. 16 times what Jackson paid for the music catalog back in 1985. As a result, by the end of 2016, Jackson's estate had earned a whopping $825 million, the highest yearly amount for a celebrity ever recorded by Forbes. The following year, Forbes reported earnings of $75 million, but the sky-high payouts kept coming thanks to Jackson's music investments. when in July 2018, the now Sony Music owned and operated Sony/ATV bought out the Jackson estate's 10% stake in EMI Music for an incredible $287.5 million. This deal primarily contributing to the Michael Jackson estate's impressive annual earnings of $400 million for the year of 2018. It was the 8th year since his death that Jackson's annual earnings were reported to be over $100 million, thus bringing Jackson's post-mortem profits total to $2.4 billion. In 2020, Forbes recognized Jackson as the top-earning dead celebrity every year since his death, except 2012, after his dear friend Elizabeth Taylor's estate auctioned off her legendary jewelry collection, bringing in her annual earnings for the year to $210 million. In the years since, the Michael Jackson estate has continued to be one of the most profitable and powerful in the entertainment industry, regularly earning dead celebrities, despite having sold off his most profitable assets. In many ways, the incredible turnaround of Michael Jackson's career and profitability post his passing, despite continued speculation and controversies, has acted as a blueprint for many savvy artists alive today, giving them an insight into how their legacy in the world of entertainment could and should be managed post their inevitable demise. In the words of co-executor John Branca, quote, "In the early days of rock and roll, companies owned everything and fought with the artists' representatives to gain control of their IP. Now it's swung back in the other direction as artists get older and are estate planning and tax planning and selling."
Yeah, because they're seeing what evilness and snakiness you're doing. They're seeing what evilness and snakiness things you're doing. Clearly. Now, don't get it twisted. Yeah, he's like Michael Jackson's estate is earning this much, earning that much. But my thing is that, look, if there's no need to sell the publishing, there's no need to sell the publishing. Because think about it, he was in debt. They're trying to say he was in debt, but if he was in debt and they're saying they could have he was using the Sony ATV as leverage, all right, cool, whatever, or using as collateral, all right, cool, whatever. They still didn't sell the Sony ATV publishing. Why? Why did they wait till later for that to happen? When Michael Jackson even said they're after him for that. They're after him for that. Anyway.
Their IP back to the companies. It's come full circle. Thanks for watching The Detail. Let us know in the comments if you believe the Michael Jackson estate has been as much of a success as their bank balance would suggest. And follow for more in-depth Michael Jackson investigations. We'll see you next time.
The thing is, the problem is, yeah, we can look at it and be like, yeah, financially it looks good. Financially, yeah. Let me hit the subscribe button on their channel. You can hit the subscribe button on my channel as well, by the way. And also hit the like button. But yeah, so it's easy for us to look at it and be like, oh yeah, it's making enough money. But then as Michael Jackson fans, we obviously want more because we know what Michael Jackson gave artistically, creatively, from a vision standpoint. We demand more. We have the right to demand and want more. You understand? This is why BG, for example, he should be like the main lead. I know he's the youngest, but like he should be the main lead right now. I'm saying this is the vision of how I want my father's estate to be. You know what I mean? This is what needs to be done. Do you know what I mean? That's what I believe. And I could be wrong. Maybe Paris, maybe Prince. But like, I'm thinking the youngest. I'm thinking Prince. You know, sorry, well, it's Prince. It's Prince Michael Jackson the second, basically. But anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's see what people are saying. Financial analyst here. Mr. Jackson was not broke ever. I'm so glad this is the first comment I'm reading. And they said this over a year ago, yeah? Because I said it. He was a billionaire by the age of 29. But let's keep moving. All right. Financial analysis here. Mr. Jackson was not broke ever. He had over $1 billion in assets, and the cash flow he had was mismanaged by others. Mr. Jackson refused to sell any of his assets to get cash. He had other assets outside of music. His overall financial portfolio was very well diverse, including fine art. What did I tell you? He's buying art. That's art. That is asset. Art collection is that's an asset. All right. Where was I? Stocks, automobiles. Do you know what I mean? He got like a range of Rolls Royces as well. That's an asset. Yeah. You can turn, like, I know some say that cars depreciate over time, but companies like Rolls Royce, depending on how you do things, that can be an asset. Anyway, his overall financial, all that stuff he had in the Netherlands was purely financial. Those were one of the one of a kind collectible items, many of which were worth thousands of dollars. He played dumb, but almost everything he brought, he knew would appreciate in value. This Is It tour would have eliminated his debt in just one show, and he knew this. For a multi-billionaire, $400 million is nothing. That's like a person who makes 100K being 4K in debt. Michael was never broke. His issue was mismanagement of cash flow, and honestly, he should have taken full control and not trusted others, but his estate is fine today, and that's all that matters. Round of applause for that comment. Get me? This comment should be pinned. Do you know what I mean? Thank you for. But yeah, I'm gonna look before. Make sure you stay tuned here, because I'm gonna look for that video where I heard the saying of he was a billionaire by the age of 29. I know I heard it. I don't know why. I don't know any other celebrity who has made so many foundations and charities as much as Michael Jackson. He's been generous pretty much his entire life. Facts. You're so right. Much of misinformation was disseminated over the years to destroy his legacy. In 2009, we lost the most gifted and amazing entertainers who ever walked on this planet. Rest in peace, legend. So I'm gonna put. It is obvious how much Michael Jackson, Jackson was really, really worth. I don't think he ever was in debt like that. And he's, what do you call it? His will. Come on. A businessman like him, he has a will that is updated way after 2002. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Hey, take it as you want. I'm saying what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say what's on my mind. Anyway, let's keep it moving. I'm gonna try and find that video. I believe it was Michael Jackson, 1987, 60 minutes. I think it was that one.